let's talk about Boss Baby. So Boss Baby is about Timothy Templeman, a 7-year-old kid who one day his parents bring home his new baby brother. He ends up discovering that this baby can talk and has a secret agenda, and the movie kicks off from there. What I like about this movie, about Pixar movies, and about DreamWorks movies, and all these other animations that come out over the year, is what they're doing more and more, is that while they're aimed at kids, I would say they're more kid-friendly, but there's a lot of adult jokes in this movie, and in animations recently, there's been a lot of adult jokes aimed at adults. Like in this movie, there's some sexual innuendo. There's a great gag with a dummy and about sucking the dummy, and you get the point. But the jokes fly over the kids' heads, but they're still aimed at adults, and the adults get it. And also there is some humor, obviously there's a lot of humor for the kids. This movie had a lot of references to other movies, a lot of pop culture reference. I won't spoil them, but when you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll pick up on the references if, you're a big movie fan. I was kind of worried they were showing the biggest laughs in the trailers, and they really hadn't. The movie doesn't rely, like I was worried it was going to, on a lot of fart jokes, poop jokes, and like that. It has some of those things, obviously, because you kind of need them in a kid's movie like this, and they were really well done. They were smart fart jokes in a way, which is kind of weird to think about, but they were done really well. There is a great opening credits scene in this movie that is really quite funny. And it also, it gets you into the story. It shows you of how Boss Baby came to be Boss Baby. Now let's talk about the action in this movie and the way that it's filmed. Now yes, it's an animation, so it's like, how do you film action? The action in this movie is kind of, it's obviously it's animated, so it's very slapstick. But I do think it is really well directed. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, and it does move the story forward. You can't have action without story backing it up. This movie surprisingly has a lot of heart in its characters and in its story. By the end of the movie, you are attached to both Boss Baby and Tim. They don't start out on the same page, they don't start out as friends, and by the end of the movie, you feel a connection to both of them, and you feel the connection between the two characters. I'm not spoiling what happens, but you do feel a connection there. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where I almost got a bit choked up because, it was coming towards the end of the movie, and I'm just like, I'm actually really attached to these characters. And recently, in the last few animation films that we've had, I haven't connected to a lot of the characters. I wasn't the biggest fan of Moana or Kubo and the Two Strings. They're good movies, they didn't do a lot for me, so this movie actually really did quite surprise me. One thing I do talk about a lot, and you will hear me talk about a lot in these reviews, is story arc and character progression. In this movie, and you don't really expect it from a kid's movie, especially, one that's by DreamWorks, and they're not as good as what they do over at Pixar, but you're not really expecting to get attached to the characters and for the characters to have an arc from start to finish. And the stories in the movies that I enjoy most is when a character starts in one place and ends up in another, learning from all their experiences. And in this movie, both with Boss Baby and Timothy, they do that really well. Timothy learns things from Boss Baby, and Boss Baby learns things from Tim, and it's great story and character progression. Towards the end of the movie, it does get a little bit slow and it slows down. I kind of felt that Lord of the Rings multiple endings kind of, syndrome at the end of this movie, but honestly, you needed all of that to fulfill and finish the story, and it's almost a positive negative kind of thing for me. What I will say is that watching the trailers and then watching the movie in itself, I was actually really surprised by it, and I really enjoyed this movie. So go out and see Boss Baby, and let me know what you think in the comments section below, and I will talk to you guys next time.